Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be talking about everything that you need to know about matching your foundation perfectly. If you guys saw my last Everything You Need to Know video, it was about eyeshadow, and I think my second most requested topic was, it might have been my absolute first, was matching foundation, because I know it's incredibly difficult, and if you've been subscribed to me for a while, you know that I've been kind of like kicking around this idea of doing this topic for a very long time, but there's a lot of info here. So just to preface, I want to let you know I am going to be talking about color matching, undertones, overtones, how to make sure that you're picking the correct color. This is all going to be about color. So it's not going to be about different foundation finishes. I'm not going to be talking about primer. All of that stuff is going to have to go into a separate video because there's way too much information in this one. I don't want to totally overwhelm you. After this video, if you want to see something along those lines, please let me know in the comments down below. I literally had to take notes because it's a lot. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, so if you're going to be picking the correct color foundation for your skin, the first thing you need to know about is your skin tone. The most basic characterization is, do you have a cool skin tone? Is your skin tone warm? Or is it more neutral? So you're gonna be, it just means that you're a little bit more right in the center. Cool tones typically are going to be more of the blues and the pinks, whereas warm tones are going to be yellow, green, golden, peachy kind of colors. Those are typically the colors that are going to be in those categories. Now, to determine your skin tone, you need to know what your undertone is and what your overtone is. Yes, there are two of them. Your undertone, and I'm going to talk about this in artistic terms because it's the easiest way for me to understand it, and hopefully you will understand it as well. Your undertones are sort of like your underpainting. So it's going to be like the base layer of your skin. And I'll put an underpainting image in here to show you. Your overtones are what, well, in the art world we call a glaze, or your like actual painting that goes over the underpainting. And I will again pop an example here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Now, obviously your skin isn't completely opaque. So what happens is your undertone shows through your skin and those two colors combine to create your overall skin tone. This makes it incredibly difficult to find a foundation that's going to match you exactly, because if you think about it, a foundation is generally pretty opaque. It's one color. It doesn't have the dimension that your actual skin has. Now, one of the ways that you can determine your undertone is, I guess, referred to as the vein method. Basically, what you're going to do is look at your veins and the colors that they appear to be. Some people have more blue veins. Some people, like me, I'm super olive. I have very green veins. I don't know if you probably won't be able to tell on this video, but I think the best way to determine your undertone is to look at your veins, the color that's showing through your skin. That's the best way to do it. And if you're having a difficult time determining whether or not you're warm, if your undertones are green, if they're blue, because it can be really difficult if you're just looking at yourself, make sure that you are out in natural light. Make sure that you're out in natural light and you compare to a friend. So one of my friends is so the opposite. Like, she's very cool tone. She has very blue veins and extremely pink overtone. I have very green undertone and a very yellow overtone, which is super rare. It makes foundation shopping very difficult. But I think the best method is definitely to compare your skin tone to maybe a couple different friends. And that way you can kind of see, the comparison makes it a lot easier to place yourself. Okay, now we're gonna talk about the relationship between colors. And this is where it's gonna get like really technical, but I wanna make sure that everybody understands the relationship of colors and how it's going to apply to your makeup. So there's something called contiguous colors. You don't have to take notes or anything like this. This is just me giving you all of the information. Contiguous colors are two colors that are next to each other. So for example, if I take this pink mink box and put it next to this Anastasia Subculture palette, the pink mink box is going to look a certain way against this black background. The green palette is going to look a certain way against this black background. But when I put them next to each other, they're going to play off of each other, and each color is going to affect how the other one looks. That is called simultaneous contrast. So basically it's how the human eye registers those contiguous colors, and then it alters your perspective of that color. In other words, if you have very olive skin like me, and then you put a more pink foundation on your face, the two colors are really going to clash, and it's going to become more obvious that they're different, if that makes sense to you. Conversely, when it comes to color correction, and you can use this to color match your foundation, using a complementary color or the opposite on the color wheel, and again, I'll put color wheel somewhere so you can see, that is going to neutralize that color. So I realize that this is a lot. So like I said, I have an olive undertone, so more green, and then my overtone is very yellow. Everything pulls on me either really, really pink or really red or really orange typically. When I buy a foundation, I like to mix it with something that's going to be more green. So it's going to cut the amount of red that's in that foundation, and it's going to make it look more olive and suit my skin much better. So when we're talking about the color wheel, the opposite color of green is red. So if you mix those two together, it's going to neutralize each of the colors. So if you take blue and you mix it with orange, it's going to do the same thing. If you take yellow and you mix it with purple, it's going to do the same thing. So that's why a lot of people will use like a purple primer if they feel like they have sallow skin and they need to brighten it up a little bit. That's why if you have redness, typically primers have like a green tint to them. And then I guess people do like color correcting underneath their eyes with like salmon, but that doesn't make any sense to me because not all dark circles are blue. That's a rant for another day. I've been mixing foundations for such a long time because I've never been able to find a color that suits me, especially when I'm fair skin that's olive and has a yellow overtone. Impossible to find a foundation that works. So I was mixing foundations with pretty much any green color correcting product that I could find, something that was makeup related. I used the Makeup Forever Flash palette. That's great for makeup artists, but it's really not ideal because it's very, very thick and it's going to really modify your foundation, what am I trying to say? Formula. The thing that changed my life, and I cannot live without it now. NYX Cosmetics came out with their color correcting liquids. They have so many different colors. The green one is the one that I use, obviously, because I'm more olive and my foundations tend to lean more pink or red. They have blue, they have pink, they have yellow, they have this slightly warm brown is great for if you like have a tan, you need to warm up your foundation. I think there's like a dark brown one too, but I couldn't find it. They have white as well, that's somewhere, if you need to lighten your foundation. And what's great about this is it's not super opaque, but it does add enough color to neutralize your foundation. It also has a very, very fine pearl, so it adds kind of like a slightly more luminous finish. I don't see it manipulating my foundation formula very much, as opposed to if I was using the Makeup Forever Flash palette. Is very, very thick. I mean, the product in there is like this thick cream color, so it's incredibly difficult to mix. This is more of a liquidy type formula, so if you have a little bit of room in your foundation bottle, you can literally just like squeeze some in there, mix it up, and you're good to go. Or you can do what I do pretty much all the time. I just take a couple pumps of my foundation, a little bit of this, well, not the orange one, a little bit of the green one, which is right here, I used it today, and then mix it up on the back of my hand and then apply it with my fingers. If I'm looking in the mirror right now, I feel like my skin still looks a little bit more olive. Like I said, it's so difficult to get it to match perfectly because your skin isn't completely opaque. There is a transparency there. You do have color coming through, there's dimension. And if you're putting foundation on your face, you're taking an opaque color and you're putting it all over your face. A couple of the planes are back. Waiting for the plan, waiting for the plan, waiting for the plan. Okay, so I have some tips and tricks to help you match the colors and the dimension better. So obviously first up, you want to neutralize the color if you are someone who is olive like me and you have a difficult time finding a foundation, or maybe foundations run like way too orange and you need the blue color correcting liquid. That is the first step, is to get a color correcting liquid. And that also allows you to use a lot of different foundations, because obviously if a company doesn't have your foundation color, then you can't wear that formula, which sucks. So this is my best advice. If you notice a pattern that something pulls more orange on you, or it pulls more red, or maybe it pulls more olive, and you need to neutralize that color. Now, once you've figured out your foundation color, maybe you found your perfect foundation, maybe you found your color correct, you want to make sure that you're creating dimension in your face so that you're not just putting an opaque color down. Sometimes I'll accidentally add like a little bit too much green and it'll come off like a little too olive. If that happens, then I like to go in with a slightly pinker concealer, or I'll use a slightly more red bronzer. So it's kind of this like back and forth balance. It would be nice if you're able to get it like right on the first try. Sometimes I'm able to do that. Sometimes I mix things and they just look like perfect. But every once in a while, you know, like especially when you're trying to figure it out, you take something a little bit too far. Once you put down the foundation, then you can go in and you can do like a little bit of evening out with your concealer, with your bronzer, with your blush. So basically what you're trying to do is create balance throughout your makeup routine. These are just some tips and tricks that I have learned that I think would be helpful for you guys. It is really important to understand the relationships of colors. Like I said, having two complementary colors next to each other are going to make them stand out much more. But when you mix two complementary colors, it neutralizes those colors. So those are two things that are really important to remember if you are having trouble with it, just Google a color wheel. That way you can see like what's, you know, what the complementary colors are. Complementary colors are the opposite colors on the color wheel. I would suggest that if you are going to Sephora and you're trying to find your best foundation match, to swatch a bunch of different ones on your arm. The products that you think are the closest to your skin tone. Make sure that you remember, maybe make like a little note in your phone. So number 1 is NARS Radiant whatever. Number 2 is, I don't know, Dior Show something. So you can keep track of the ones that you swatched, and then make sure that you go out in natural light. Let them dry, let them oxidize if they're going to. Sometimes foundations will become a lot darker if they oxidize, or they'll become a lot more red. So you wanna make sure that you are looking at them in natural light. Do not use the store's lighting. It is so bad. Even if you think it's good, it's bad, trust me. I was just in Sephora like a couple weeks ago. The worst lighting ever. I don't know how they expect people to pick a foundation in that lighting. It's impossible. So remember, natural light, very important. That's the best thing to do if you are actually going to go to a Sephora, you're going to go to like a Macy's or something like that and swatch the products. I really hope this makes sense. All right guys, so that is it for this video. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that it made sense. I really hope that it made sense. It's so important to understand the relationship of colors, and I feel like a lot of people don't. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to find a foundation that matches you. For a really long time, I didn't really know about undertones or overtones, or I hadn't really thought about them. I just thought that my skin was more yellow. So I was using really yellow foundations and they were horrible. It looked so bad. So I'm finally gotten to the place where I figured out what I need to do. So hopefully this helped you. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, if you want to see a part 2 to this video, not about color, but about formula and primers, basically like application, let me know in the comments. All right guys, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. All of that stuff is down below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Yes, I filmed this makeup look. Come on. It's probably going up next.